You're listening to the House Yoga's podcast, the pathway to progress that inspires yoga teachers, teachers in training, and students who are curious about the journey of becoming a yoga teacher. And for anyone who wants to enhance their yoga practice and get better at life. This is Jason Pooley, and today I'm joined by Emma Saunders and Maryann. We're going to explore the art of assisting and how hands-on assists that are back, by the way, and we're very happy to say that they're back, can quite literally change someone's practice and experience of yoga in a good way. Maryann, Emma, thanks for joining me today. Let's jump straight in. Firstly, Emma, how was it being back at Foy last weekend and leading teacher training with Maryann, and specifically, how did the new assisting training go?
Hi, Jace. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. Yeah, it's always a joy to be back at the House of Yoga, and it kind of feels when I head back to London and without my kids, it kind of feels like I'm stepping back into my old life. But it just feels like I'm coming home whenever I come to the House of Yoga. So it's always an absolute joy. And the training programs are something that I'm incredibly passionate about and something that really inspire me. So yeah, I've absolutely loved being back in the teacher training program, and particularly being back with Maryann to deliver a program that we are really excited about, which was the assisting part of the 200-hour training program, assisting for yoga teachers, which was really great. And it's the first time that Maryann and I delivered that. So it was really, really cool.
Awesome. I know the guys were really happy that you were back, and I'm sure yourself, Maryann, as well. And actually, that leads me on to I know that both of you have been working really hard behind the scenes to design a brand new assisting program within our training program, Ignite Your Passion, and beyond that, right? And I know we're going to talk about that later on in this conversation, but for now, I wanted to explore why assisting can be so beneficial, why hands-on assisting can be, really empowering for students and teachers, and really what that opens up to as an experience of being on a mat and being assisted by a teacher. Maryann, do you want to share a little bit around that, because I know that you love assisting?
Yeah, absolutely. Hello, everyone. Nice to be here with you. Yes, assisting can be incredibly powerful for both students and teachers. From a student perspective, it's just another way to really get into your body as a student. As we all know, life can be sort of led by thought, and we can live in our heads. And when we get on our mats, we have this beautiful opportunity to really dive into our physical bodies and really feel our limbs and our cores and move our spines, and just to be healthy and well, and to have that extra layer of support from a teacher to create an even more sensory experience on the mat is an incredible thing. And from a teaching perspective, I mean, one of the reasons why I love it is it really allows us to create an even better relationship with our students. A big thing that Emma and I remind teacher trainees is that we don't assist for correction. We assist to connect with our students in a different way beyond our words. And there's nothing like being able to create these light bulb moments and aha moments with our students through our assists. And the last thing I'd say for new teachers, when you're a little bit nervous teaching your first few classes, it can be incredibly grounding just to get your hands on your students, to get really present to what's going on in the studio. So yeah, for teachers and students alike, assisting is incredibly powerful.
It really is. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. It's definitely a collaboration, right? And I'm glad that you talked about just there, Maryann. It's more around connection over correction, and it ends up being a win-win experience for both student and teacher, and that deep connection is created. As you were sharing that, I was just thinking about how, when I first started practicing many years ago, and I started experiencing hands-on assist, and actually I remember being quite resistant to it at the beginning, and then actually welcoming the assist, and it really did have a huge impact on what I not only experienced in the moment in the pose, but just feeling way more confident around what's possible and where I can go to in a pose. And it was really empowering, coming from a place of resistance to start with. So what do you guys think about, like, let's, for anyone that's listening, and thank you for listening, by the way, anyone that's listening to this conversation that's fairly new to the practice, like new to yoga, and perhaps a little bit like me, was, you know, a little bit resistant about assisting, and it hasn't been around now as for a couple of years, right, because of what's been going on, and luckily now we've got it coming back. What would you say to someone as like an advice for a new student around this conversation of assisting?
It's really interesting. I didn't know that you were resistant to assisting at first. I definitely wouldn't know that. Wouldn't know that now.
I tell you, 10
Come and
years
assist
later.
me. Yeah, it's interesting because I think, particularly with my background in dance prior to yoga, so I was always used to physical assist as a way to access movement and alignment within my body. And for new students, it's really interesting because when you're a new student, you're learning something that's brand new, and you're kind of trying to work it all out, right? Where does my foot go? Where do I, like, how do I actually make this posture, right? And sometimes in the process of trying to work it out kind of more in your head, you can lose the physical sensation, or we can just kind of not quite get it, right? Whereas the physical touch, it kind of bypasses that brain, like trying to work it out, and goes straight into the physiology and straight into the body, which is kind of what Maryann was talking about with like the light bulb moments. So like, wow, this is what it's meant to feel like. It kind of, you're not there on your own trying to figure it out. You have the assistance of a teacher, and a slight touch can completely transform a posture and open up new possibilities within the poses, which then, because you've then been like, wow, I found that, you then know how to find it the next time on your own. So it's incredibly empowering, and it's really exciting.
Yeah, I love that. It's that's the word that really comes up for me, is empower. It leaves student and teacher, leaves both feeling empowered, right? And what comes with that seems to be a new level of confidence, you know, to actually explore it and try it out on your own next time. So yeah, I love that, and it's definitely a light bulb moment, as Maryann was sharing, and that is the breakthrough moment, right? And that I remember having that. I remember, I think it was extended side angle pose, and I was definitely resisting for some time, and then was just like able to relax and go, oh wow, I never knew that I could actually create that much space in my body. So it's brilliant, and it's so good that we've got it back now, right? It's been missing for such a long time. And we were talking about this earlier in regards to now hands-on assisting is back in the world of yoga, but we've not been used to it for so long. Like, how do we approach it now? Because, you know, for some of us, we're like, do we assist students? Can I be assisted? It's like a sort of gray area. What about that?
Yeah, I think it's obviously, you know, a bit tender still, but in a way, you know, it's always been about knowing how and when to ask for permission, you know, regardless of COVID, and particularly the House of Yoga, you know, we've always been very careful as teachers to make sure that we ask and stay aware of who, you know, clearly does not want to be assisted, and even those subtle cues throughout class that sort of say that they'd rather practice on their own. But it's interesting with COVID because, you know, we are now as teachers being more upfront about asking before a class, and saying if you're up for it, raise a leg and down dog, or something like that, or even using like a token system, a card system where they can display at the top of their mat, yes, assist me, or don't. And even though there is a sort of tenderness around it, what I noticed in particular during the training last weekend was actually how much people have been missing it and craving it. And once they experience it again, they're like, oh yeah, that's why we, enjoyed it in the first place. And that's why we want to learn how to do it as trainees, that there's again, a really empowering opportunity there, and a wonderful way to deepen the practice. So as much as we are potentially a little bit shy about it given the times, it is wanted and needed in a lot of ways, because we've been so without touch for so long, that I think it's even more important to remind ourselves of the power of physical touch.
Absolutely, yeah. And you talked about that as well, Em, right? The physiology side of it and how that can really have an impact on progression in our practice. But you're right, Maryann, it's like that connection's been missing, right? And I've got nothing wrong. I love teaching online and Zoom, and we've all got used to that, and it's going to be around forever. But there's nothing quite like the interaction, the energy of people to people, and actually getting that hands-on touch, as you say. And yeah, it's just brilliant that it's coming back. I, as a teacher, for sure, I'm really enjoying it. It's definitely been a bit weird, that transition back in, but now sort of back in full flow. It's great. And I was just thinking about something, Maryann, when you were sharing there around, as teachers listening, maybe new teachers, and how that communication is really important. So if you're gonna, if you're a teacher and you're going to assist in a class, it would be much better to then obviously say, like you said, Maryann, if you're in down dog right at the beginning, or in child's pose, if you don't want to be assisted, then just raise one hand or raise one leg, and so it doesn't sort of, bring that one person out to attention to the whole class, rather than saying, does anyone want to be assisted or not to be assisted, and it becomes a bit of a dialogue in the class. So I think that's really important as well, that conversation at the beginning as a teacher. That's really powerful. And what about in regards to you yourself as teacher? I know you were working on, behind the scenes with Maryann on these new programs, and you love it, right? You love assisting. In regards to your own teaching, do you feel like the confidence is coming back for you and students?
Yeah, massively. It's funny, like, I think because we've been without it for so long, there's almost an element of like, do we need it? And then, right, like, we've been without it for so long, it's almost like you've forgotten what it was. And then I started assisting in my classes again, and particularly on like one-on-one, like when I'm working with individual clients, or on like retreat days and things like that. And just the response from really simple assists, like a good child's pose assist, a good downward dog assist, at the end, the students were like, wow, like just those small touches can just, like we said, transform the practice. And just remembering that connection that we've been so deprived of, that we've really been starved of, that physical connection, that deeper connection with each other, like to the point where people have been obviously a little bit scared to be in close proximity, and definitely not to touch each other, right? So to surrender to that, and to remember how good that is and how much we need it. It's been really magical to be able to bring it back into my classes, and it's been really exciting to see how it changes students' progression as well, like how quickly they can access slight adjustments in postures through touch. Yeah, it's really, really cool.
Amazing, isn't it? So we can actually just see the transformation, feel it. You can literally see it in the student's face, and the way they breathe, right? Even breathing changes, and they start to relax more, and when that connection is built that we've been talking about, in that moment, teacher relaxes, student relaxes, and something special is, you know, is manifested in that moment. Yeah, it's brilliant. So Maryann, and both of you, Maryann, I know you've been working really hard behind the scenes on creating new content for, you know, the House Yoga's 200-hour teacher training program. So it's like an assisting training within the training, right? And I really wanted to speak to this because I think it's important for our listeners, you know, who are early days teaching, or maybe even curious about stepping into a teacher training program, or we've been teaching for a few years now, how important it is to just keep up leveling and improving your competence and confidence as a teacher when assisting. And you guys have created that very thing for students and teachers.
Yes, yeah, we have. So we've got the assisting module within their teacher training program, but then there's also 2 assisting intensives that students or teachers can take after they have done their first 200-hour training. And like, I've done several trainings in assisting because I love it so much throughout my years of teaching, and it's just been another tool to add to my toolkit of teaching and how I create connection and how I really work with my students.
Yeah, it sounds fun. And so in regards to the content assisting training within the 200-hour, right? Do you want to share just a little bit about that for certainly, you know, yogis that are curious and interested about, you know, stepping into a teacher training program, and what that looks like, what it feels like within the training? Because I know it's really powerful, and you've just gone through it last weekend, right? Weekend 6 of training. And it sounded like it was brilliant for everyone involved. Do you want to just share a little snippet around what that is all about?
Yeah, so within the 200-hour, Emma and I worked hard to really streamline it so that it feels very accessible for a new teacher. You know, as a new teacher, you're managing lots of things in an sort of familiar environment, and it can feel like a lot to take care of within a class. So adding assisting in on top of that, I feel like sometimes can just be like that one extra thing, right? And we've worked hard to make it, again, very streamlined and tied back to what they've learned with True North alignment. So how to embody strength and stability and flow in the body, and how to allow our students to experience that within themselves, but alongside our touch too. So yeah, the base level really is just coming back to True North, as most things in our training does, and yeah, working from that place of finding again all of those elements of a powerful Tadasana in every posture, and then being able to add to that in manageable layers through the next 2 intensives. Yeah, so it's sort of an onion effect, you know, layer by layer, working on this art form, because it is that you kind of learn a bit, form your skill, have a bit of experience in between, and then come back and learn a bit more. So that's our intention and our hope, anyways.
Yeah, I love it. And it's exactly that, right? That's the conversation we're speaking about today, is the art of assisting. It is an art form, and it's a whole new skill, that once feeling comfortable and confident, like anything's possible for student and teacher. And it sounds like, well, I've got to be honest, and actually you guys know this, right? I've the content that you've created in the new assisting program for the 200-hour, I definitely explored it for myself, and it's brilliant. And it's very, what I found was it's foundational stuff, but it builds definitely confidence, for students to go out there and actually start, or teachers to go out there and start assisting their students, as an ongoing development. And you guys have then obviously, you know, you've been working hard on the content within the 200-hour, and now for teachers that want to keep progressing and keep exploring, and building their skill levels as assisting when teaching, you want to share a little bit more about the next level trainings?
Yeah, so I'm kind of continuing along the same theme of building on what has already been created. We're not kind of like trying to reinvent the wheel. We want to make it so that you're able to put it into teaching practice straight away. But this time we get a little bit more playful, giving you a lot more assists throughout the whole practice. And we're really working with the energetics. So we speak about how are you sharing your energy with your students? What's the intention behind your assist? Because it's a conversation. Like, even though you're not speaking, you're very much having a conversation with your students and creating that connection. So we're looking into that, and also how are you using your body as an assistant. Like the guys on the teacher training weekend last week were really surprised at how physical assisting can be. You use a lot of energy. So how can we best use our body to support these physical assists and to make our assists really powerful? Yeah, so we get to go through the whole of JIP, the Journey into Power sequence, the Vinyasa sequence, and give lots of really great assists that can help our students find deeper sensations or create space or strength in their postures. There's a lot of content. As you know, we always pack a lot into our program.
Yeah, it was brilliant. It's awesome. And, you know, those students that are going to be assisted by these teachers learning this new skill set are going to be walking away feeling, like you said, strong and in that place of possibility in their practice. I love it, you guys. Well done. Now, in regards to like, you know, for our listeners who are listening, and Maryann, you were talking about TNA, right? For anyone that's listening and you're not quite sure what TNA actually means, it's True North Alignment. So we bring in this full body integration, and you might know it as Tadasana, or, you know, standing mountain pose, which is really just, I think it's brilliant that you guys have brought this in, TNA, and had it thread through all of the assisting training. What about in regards to, okay, you've got the next level training, and when is that? When are they actually? Because I know you've been talking about you know, bringing it into the studio, and the dates are actually set, right? Do you want to share a little bit more around when they are?
Yes, the next training is going to be the 2nd and 3rd of April, the first weekend in April. It is all weekend. So one thing that's worth sharing with you is that you get 25 hours of continued development, which is it's accredited by Yoga Alliance, so you can put that towards your continued education. So you'll get 5 hours of pre-work ahead of the weekend, which really sets us all up at kind of like on a level playing field, so we can really get going straight away in the program. And then it's like, yeah, a full day, like 8 till 6 on Saturday, and similar on Sunday.
I guess anyone that's already, you know, participating in teach training, they're used to those long days and, you know, great content. So that's awesome. So really around the corner, you're talking like 4 or 5 weeks away, that you guys will be leading, right, together.
Absolutely.
Bringing in your passion and knowledge for this work. And then there was some extra dates, right, later on in the year?
Yes, so in September, it's the 17th and 18th, I believe, of September is the next set. And then level 2 is the 19th and 20th of November.
Awesome. So for anyone that's interested in exploring, taking your teaching to a new level, and really, you know, bringing in this new sort of depth in your teaching and having that confidence to bring more assisting in, then definitely want to explore coming along and training with Maryann and Emma. You're going to get definitely a lot of value in experiencing those trainings. Anything else, you guys, in regards to, you know, the power of assisting? You know, we've talked about physical assist and how how great that can land in someone's body. But also assisting doesn't just mean physical, right? It shows up in different ways.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely. Yeah. So it sort of goes along with, the COVID conversation and trying to be mindful and respectful of the time that we live in. Emma and I definitely wanted to make sure that we acknowledged how much yoga is happening online and how can we assist our students powerfully when we're not physically with them. And although we know the power of a physical touch, sometimes it's just not possible. And we can do that through really working on our language, which is also an art form, just like assisting, and also providing cues to guide our students to self-assist. So getting them to adjust their own bodies to find whether it's safety or depth or space. And then also getting more creative with props and how they can use bricks and straps and things to find their best posture for that moment in time, for that practice. So yeah, there are a variety of ways on top of physical touch to again sort of layer into that art form of assisting. And we give a nod to all of that in our intensives, and we're excited to share it.
Love it. Awesome, you guys. Well, thank you so much. I've loved speaking about this conversation around assisting. It's, the three of us love it. And just actually remember that I flew all the way over to Nashville in Tennessee to actually do a 2-day assisting training. I think traveling more than the actual program itself. That was back in like 6-7 years ago. And that's how much I love assisting. And for sure, we've talked about how we've missed it so much over the last couple of years. And I'm confident that it's going to come back even more, right? People are gonna just really fall in love with being assisted and teachers assisting again, more so than ever, which can only be a positive thing for sure in the yoga world. All right, you guys, if there was one thing that you would share as, like, I don't know, maybe one word or a piece of insight to new teachers that are looking for new inspiration, or even students that are not looking to teach, in regards to how assisting can really help them, what can we finish with here, just as a little bit of inspiration towards the end of this episode? You guys there? Are you meditating?
Yeah, I'm thinking. The first word that came to mind, if I had to sum it up in one word, is connection. And it comes back to connection to oneself, connection to your students if you're a teacher, a deeper connection to your practice. And it is about creating more union, more yoga, right? Bringing things together through assisting in a different way. Yeah, that's kind of how I would
Beautiful.
sum up my
connection.
thoughts on assisting. Yeah.
Emma?
Yeah, I was just thinking about what the students were saying at the end of the program last weekend. And one of the things that they were saying is how they felt really cared for in being assisted, and in assisting their students, they felt like they were really caring for their students. And there's something really special in that, and similar to what Maryann was saying about connection, but like at the end of a class where you've had a few really nice assists, you almost feel like you've had a massage as well. Like, not only have I done a yoga class, I've had a massage as well. So yeah, care and support is.
I love that.
Yeah.
We haven't really spoke about the end of the practice, Shavasana assist, how amazing that is as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we've got connection, we've got care and support. And for me, it's 2 words. It's definitely new possibilities. I always feel that was my experience as student, coming from that place of resistance, was, wow, it's actually, this can create new possibilities in my practice, not just my physical practice and body, but also in my mind. And yeah, that's for me, it's new possibilities. All right, awesome, you guys. Really great conversation today, and thank you for those who are listening. if you've liked what we've been talking about, please, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you want to find more information about Emma and Maryann's next level assisting trainings, then you can visit thehouseyoga.co.uk and just go to our trainings page, and you'll see all the information about what's coming up. And also for those of you that are curious about teacher training and you want to step into this incredible transformational journey, then again, go check out our website. We've got a whole list of teacher trainings that are going to be taking place this year, and we would love to support you along this journey. Maryann, Emma, thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
All right, thank you everyone.